Hey,
I kind of wish the music was longer.
yeah, I do too. I do too. Maybe we should do a podcast where it's just the numbers in the music, and maybe we'll get some more likes. Maybe that would be our whole show. It's just the countdown.
Just countdown.
And we'll become famous. I mean, it'd be like a social media sensation.
It's the countdown show. That's
It's
all
right.
it is.
Speaking countdown. Yeah.
Maybe we should start the
I think
show.
we should start the show, man. Let's do it.
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Always feel like Mario when I said Ricky Poe. Hey man, we got so much going on. I mean, it's like
We
I
do.
feel like
we do.
I mean, it's like a freight train of stuff that happened this week. I mean, it's like
Yep.
it's almost like we gotta like get right into it because it's nuts.
Two questions first.
Yes,
You're in the Southern Command,
I'm in Southern Command. Yes, sir.
so no Tiffany, the podcast wife, tonight.
No podcast watch tonight.
Okay.
No,
Just making
no,
sure.
It's just
All right.
we're on our own and
Tiffany,
yes.
we miss you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All
Say
right,
that
well,
because I am your husband. Okay.
If you're watching us live, let us know where you're watching from. We would love to hear your comments. If we get your comments, we'll put them up on the screen.
That's
and
right.
we might abuse you.
Yes, we will. We will keep the target off us on you. So yeah. So anyhow, okay, so much going on. I didn't realize when we started compiling all this information for the nerdy of the week, all the news for the week.
Oh my
that we
goodness,
would have
yeah.
so much. I mean, I thought it's
Every
gonna be
week.
I know, but and this week is incredible. It's for instance, the new Matrix. So many trailers come out, like the Matrix trailer.
Oh my goodness, trailers.
I mean, trailers galore. You had the Matrix trailer. Resurrection came out. Of
Yep.
course, they're the man.
Lots of
himself,
big hype on that. Lots of big hype there.
Not John Wick. He's the guy who.
John Wick.
Yeah, he takes the red
Keanu
pill.
Reeves.
I know there's a red pill and a blue pill, and then there's like a pink pill that I take after dinner.
Can you tell we're not we're not really super up
And I
on
do
the
take
Matrix.
a blue pill, but it does funny things to me. So on the next here is, I don't know why he has a rubber ducky on his head, but he does. So maybe you Matrix fans out there can comment
You
somewhere
can
in the
explain to us
sections.
why there's a rubber ducky there.
Yes. But have you heard? I know we're kind of going through this, but we got so much. So I think it sounded like to me Disney finally kind of decided we need to do something different to our contracts. It sounded like to me they're kind of going HBO Max, where they're going to do like a.
Yep.
I think they were talking about the rest of the year, their movies that they're going to go just to the theaters, and then maybe 45 days after that. Am I correct?
That's what I'm hearing. So we're going to be in theaters at least 45 days before we go digital, and then see where it goes from there, I guess. Now, what's a little unclear to me is digital going to be a premiere access that you have to pay for first?
Yeah.
And it's going to be another 45 days before it's free? Or will it instantly be free on Disney Plus? That's my question.
Well, that's my question too, because after 45 days, I'm not going to pay the $30. For me personally, no, I'm going to wait.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole idea of paying the $30 is to watch it in my living room now. So now I totally understand why the industry and I can understand Johansson and all the stir up with Marvel, because hey, they are the actors. They're doing this to make the money, just like the studios.
Yep.
And so I totally understand.
And I haven't heard confirmation of this, but everybody who talks about this basically just says Feige just told Disney, you're not doing that anymore.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure they can. Yeah. Yeah. And I hadn't heard that, but I know Feige, he's upset with it, and I can understand that. I can understand that.
Absolutely.
Now, yeah. So okay.
Speaking
Disney,
of Feige and Disney, new Hawkeye trailer.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was like a holiday trailer, wasn't it? I mean, it was like,
it's
I
the
didn't
holiday season.
Spirit. It was
It's
like
the wrong song, but
was like Home Alone with bow and arrows. I don't know what it was.
Yes,
it was so good though.
So for those of you who think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Hawkeye is now a Christmas series.
Oh, that's right. That's going to be right on the top of my Christmas list with Die Hard. Yes,
coming out November 24th, and 8 episodes, so it will roll over through the new year.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to be a Wednesday release because the Book of Boba Fett is coming out in December on Fridays.
Oh, that's going to be a big deal. Yes, things are going to speed up now in the Marvel, like Disney Plus is going to speed up. So there are going to be a lot of new things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Hawkeye. Yeah. You told me about it the other day. I watched it. I watched it so many times because it was not what I was expecting.
Oh man,
it was not what I was expecting.
I have been excited about this show a little bit, but not super expectant. You know, I thought this will be good, but it's not going to be amazing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really good.
I think so. It almost reminds me like a buddy cop deal between him and so yeah, it looks pretty good. Hey, also too, man, Marvel's really racking it up. Have you heard about Wanda Vision? They win.
Yes.
Can you believe this? They win the first 3 Emmys. 3 Emmys.
I know.
Who would have guessed it?
I know. I'm super excited. Marvel and Disney combined are doing some amazing things right now. And Shang-Chi is
I know. Look at that.
The top of the box office again for 2 weeks in a row.
Isn't that something?
Well, I want to say that's really something, but I couldn't tell you another movie that came out this week.
Well, that's true too. I mean, you got when you're competing with nothing, basically, then yeah, I totally understand that.
Oh, Todd Tolton says Die Hard is a Christmas movie. See, there you go.
Todd Tolton. So welcome, Todd.
Thanks for watching, Todd.
Man, Todd.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie, so Hawkeye is a Christmas series. There you go.
A whole lot of stuff's been going on, and I'm going to kind of go it through a little quickly because, Sony did the big showcase, PS5 showcase. And
you spent some time watching this, right?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of stuff coming for the PS5 now. PS5, if you can find one, right now all the PS5s are basically being bought by bots. And going twice as much on eBay, where you normally would pay like $450, and if you're lucky, you can get it for $800. That's a bargain right now.
I know a guy who, because of this, who's purposely set up a bot so he could buy his own PS5.
Yeah, I know exactly. I might need to talk to that guy and see if he can help me out, because this is getting really bad right now. And we'll do a whole, hey, Michael Richardson, thank you. Bruce.
Hey, Michael.
He says Bruce Willis said Die Hard is a Bruce Willis movie. Yes, I know. But it's not Christmas until Von Gruber falls out of the Takamine Towers. So yeah, thank you, sir. But yes. I'm going to go through. This is not a video game show. I just want to go through it. Gods of War, Ragnarok, Deathloop, of course, Gran Turismo 7, Uncharted Collection. But the thing I'm excited about more than anything else is they're going to do a remake of one of the great RPGs ever, Knights of the Old Republic.
I have heard about this.
This has been rumored for such a long time, and it finally came out, and they're going to do it from bottom to top. The whole thing is going to be remade. And so these are the old graphics. Look at that. For the Xbox 360 back in the day, actually for the original Xbox. And
you know what? That was groundbreaking back then.
Yes, it was. So what's interesting about that was when Knights of the Republic came out, it was exclusive to the Xbox, but now it's exclusive, the remake, to the PS5 and also for PC. So hopefully you have a PC, because I can't find a PS5 anywhere. So there you go, my friend.
I just realized my fan has been on the whole time. So
yeah, I couldn't.
Maybe, I don't know if you had noticed or heard the sound, but
no, that's all right.
My apologies if that was obscuring my audio or your audio at all.
I thought you had some gas. So, hey, Hey, let's do some stupid news, man.
Oh,
Let's get
wait.
into that. Oh, I missed. Oh, no. I'm totally skipped something that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got
what am I? What's wrong with me?
No, that's all right. The other big thing in tech. Yesterday we had the big Apple announcements. I will say I don't think there was anything super earth-shattering, but some interesting things. We got a new trailer for Foundation. If you're not familiar with Foundation, that's a book from Isaac Asimov, and it is going to be a series on Apple TV Plus. It looks really good. I'm not sure how they're going to pull this off. I think it's going to be a lot of stuff that's not in the books is going to have to happen in the show, because the books cover a lot of time really fast.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll do that on the show. Then there are a couple of other sci-fi shows or movies that are going to come out on Apple Plus. One's called Invasion and one's called Finch. Finch actually stars Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, a robot, and a dog. So that's kind of weird.
It's not like buddies, is it? They're not going to have to dress like women, are they?
I don't know.
Never mind.
So the story is that Tom Hanks is going to die, and so he builds a robot to take care of his dog after he's gone.
Well, that's not depressing. That's
depressing.
That's not depressing at all. Thank you, Apple. Ooh, not like we don't have a whole lot of stuff out there that's bring you down, but yeah, let's do that.
So then the technology expectations from Apple, they didn't disappoint. We're getting an updated iPad. Yeah. We're not getting an updated iPad Pro. We're getting an updated iPad Mini, but we're not getting an updated iPad Air. So we get two of the four. And the new iPad, the basic iPad, is going to start at $329, which isn't bad.
Not for that price.
No, not for that price. And the iPad Mini now is going to be able to use the Apple Pencil, so that's kind of
nice. Cool. That's good. Is it $329? Is that for the larger iPad or the iPad?
That is for iPad. They didn't give a price for the iPad Mini.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. That makes me think the iPad Mini is not going to be a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's just going to target a certain audience that needs a smaller platform.
Okay.
Even though it's not going to be cheaper. I think it's going to be a niche market for the iPad Mini.
Sounds like it.
I need something bigger than a phone, but an iPad's too big.
Yeah.
So then we've got the iPhone 13 was announced officially. Everybody's been expecting that to happen. Not a super surprise, but there were some kind of cool things. And they announced a full slate of iPhones. There's an iPhone 13. There's an iPhone Mini, iPhone 13 Mini. There's the iPhone 13 Pro, and then the 13 Pro Max. So we are getting all four of the different products. We're getting some kind of new colors, so that's cool if you like your iPhone to have a color, which I think is hysterical because every iPhone I've ever seen has a case on it, so you don't even know what color it is.
That's exactly right.
So why does it matter? But they're all going to have the new features of the MagSafe charging and all the MagSafe features that the 12 had, so nothing new there. But in the photo and video side specifically, they are going to have some new video features where you can do some rack focus, which you didn't used to be able to do, and you are going to be able to focus after you've shot the video.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Which is super interesting. That allows you to shoot some things and make decisions later. It could result in some interesting filmmaking stuff. The thing is,
I am an Android guy, a Microsoft guy, and I bought an iPhone just because of the capabilities of taking photography and doing videos. So
So
I hear the Pixel's supposed to be coming. We don't know. I don't know much about it, but we'll see.
Yeah. So the other thing with the iPhone 13 is there is the Pro and Max are both going to come with a 1 terabyte storage option. And eventually you will actually be able to shoot full ProRes on the iPhone 13 Pro. So that's professional level video quality recording. So we're talking like that's the ProRes. ProRes is what a lot of indie filmmakers use to shoot films.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a lot of cool features. I'm still rocking an 8, the big 8, the 8 Plus.
Yeah, that's what I got. That's right.
I'm actually thinking about going ahead and biting the bullet and getting a 13. This was enough for me to want to get a 13.
Okay. All right.
So, but that's all the big stuff from Apple.
Okay.
And we got a couple comments. That is your biggest fan.
That's right. I guess so.
iPad Mini is $499.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I don't know. That's true. But you know what? He might be right. That sounds like
probably right.
That's an Apple thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So why not?
Pay for the design, not for the function.
Design. Exactly. That's what I say anyway. So hey, are we about ready to move on to our next bag of goodies?
Yeah, we can do some stupid news as soon as I get to the video to play.
Oh, that's okay.
Are you ready?
Don't worry about it. I'm ready to go, friend.
It's the weird and stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Are you tired of potholes? I hate potholes, Ricky. Like that segue I just did.
I don't like potholes.
Yeah. The funny thing about it, I guess this guy, he was fed up with these potholes all over his street. It's a Florida man, of course, and the man decided to make a statement about road conditions by basically...
Was it Todd Vesey?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But he decided he was so frustrated with the potholes that he started filling the cement holes with banana trees.
What?
Yes, that's right. He got so tired, he filled them with banana trees. That's exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
Right in the middle of the street.
Right in the middle of the street. Awesome. Yeah. Here we go.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So basically that was his contribution. He was so frustrated for a long time. He said, Raymond, who owns a business on the same street where the pothole was located, told local news that his security camera had watched the hole repeatedly cause damage to cars. He said, if we have to maintain it, then let's make sure nobody gets hurt. And so we're going to put something obvious there to make sure nobody gets in the hole. So he decides to put a banana tree in there.
There you go.
Since the roadway is located in a private street, Raymond said that the business owners are responsible for the maintenance rather than the county. So, and since the pothole was deep enough to fit a tree, Raymond thought, why not? Let's put a banana tree in there. That's the first thing I would think of. Nicholas Angus, he told the news outlets that as soon as he saw the roof-worn pothole, his wife and himself was laughing, but he said, however, Angus added that while the tree might seem like a funny statement, it actually might make road conditions even worse since drivers now have to swerve around from hitting the plant. Yeah, so
it's going to get run over.
It's going to get run over. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yep.
So anyway,
that's a Mario Kart adventure waiting to happen right there.
And that's true. Yeah. So, so if you, give back to the community and then go ahead and, plant a tree. Happy Arbor Day, I guess. So next, interesting, we have a little story about a little mascot.
It's Grimace.
It's Grimace. That's right. Boys and girls, it's Grimace. And for years, McDonald's fans have wondered who or what the purple pal of the fast food chain mascot Ronald McDonald actually is. While his name has long been known to be Grimace, of course, a Golden Arches insider has revealed the truth about the
I always thought he looked like a purple Reese's Kiss. Hershey's Kiss.
It could be, yeah. I mean, it's interesting what people came up with. Apparently, Brian Bates, the manager of McDonald's in Windsor, Canada, claimed that Grimace is an enormous taste bud.
An enormous taste bud.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know about that, but apparently, yes. But
meant to be a human taste bud. Okay.
Yeah, he recently named the Outstanding Manager of the Year for his leadership in the role during the pandemic. Bates spilled the beans to CBC, Canadian Broadcast Channel News, about the identity of Grimace while discussing his accolades. But the revelation sent shockwaves through Twitter, and users couldn't help but joke at Grimace being declared a taste bud.
That's funny.
Yeah, so basically, one fan chimed in. He said, I found out when I was little, Grimace was originally called Evil Grimace and was a monstrous four-armed villain who stole and probably ate children, according to the MASH article.
Wow.
Apparently he was supposed to be evil in 1972. I don't know. But all the Twitterverse was totally all over the place. They were hoping that, they had a little, I guess they got a little grimaced over it. So
back then, grape knee high was the thing.
Some people say
he could have just been a big poo after drinking a big grape knee high.
Oh, that's usually my. We lost somebody on that one.
That's your joke. Yeah,
that's usually my joke. Usually I'm the one that causes that kind of stuff, but okay. This last one is kind of one of my favorites right here. Of course, that's going to be an issue. This man right here, well, let's just say, while most people would choose to cooperate with the police during a traffic stop, some don't, and some even get violent. But one Florida man, yes, a Florida man, got a little cheeky. Richard Wolf, this is a man right here, 57, of Crystal River, got out of his SUV, bent over, put his hands on the wet floor, and began twerking.
Okay.
Twerking for the Citrus County Sheriff Department in the pouring rain. Yes. Yes, yes, he's you can see it on the video. He starts doing his little thing. Yeah, at this point, he gets back down again. Yes, and he decides there he is doing an encore.
He's doing like the whole flash dance thing.
Yeah, he is, and then all of a sudden the police come up, and the next thing he get tased. He just got tased.
Now that's a whole different kind of dance you do after that.
Yeah. So basically, he was charged resisting an officer without violence. Yeah. See, what's funny?
My goodness.
He said to the officer, "What are you scared of?" Wolf said to the police, according to the Chronicle, "I got a knife, you got a gun," and that's when he got tased. So anyway, that is stupid news.
That was the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Silling.
Well, as we promised tonight, we're going to talk about the Bad Batch. I know it's been off the air for about a month now, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't going to affect the future of Star Wars, and we're going to talk about a little about it. And we have our resident correspondent of all things Star Wars, Mr. Daryl McCarty, and he is
here. Here
he is. There he is. Sorry about that. And let's put him in the middle. That way we can both look at him.
He's in the hot seat.
There he is. Hello, Daryl.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, thank you for coming and being a part of the show. You didn't have much of a choice, but thank you for coming. So just overall, without getting any details right now, what was your feeling about the Bad Batch? I know it was something totally different, and a lot of people were trying to figure out how can the Bad Batch have a filler between basically the Clone Wars and Rebels. What's your overall? I guess your thoughts on that.
So my overall feeling about Bad Batch, I thought it was a good show. I love that it really did kind of continue the Clone Wars into, what immediately happened after Order 66. I love seeing what happened with all the clones, how they transitioned from really clone troopers to stormtroopers. And
that's really,
Yeah, and so seeing where it fits in the whole Star Wars universe, the whole narrative of Star Wars, especially between Rebels and Clone Wars, I think there's a lot that they can do with it because in that time period, we're switching from being a clone to where they're conscripting soldiers and stuff, and then you
Exactly.
kind of had the whole clone purge in that time because
Yeah.
what do you do with millions of clones that you no
Yeah.
longer need? Obviously, you're not
Yeah.
just going to let them go. So the Bad Batch, I think, can fit in that whole era of Star Wars very well,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be pretty cool to see where it goes.
I really
Okay.
enjoy. Go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so this has always bothered me, and I thought this was answered, and then this show tells me it's not answered, just simply because I never looked it up. Leia always said Luke was always short for a stormtrooper. So since they were all clones, I assumed that was the reason.
I guess they had a height requirement
but
within
now,
the stormtroopers. Yes, this has.
Yes, so
Yeah.
the Stormtroopers Union has a height clause, apparently.
Basically, they do.
It
Yes.
had nothing to
They
do
have-
with the fact that they were all clones
Yes,
and all the same height, and Luke
Yes.
wasn't.
They
I'm sorry
can't-
sorry to
No,
interrupt.
that's
but
okay.
that-
I mean,
that
no,
is
they have to
all.
be a certain. They have to be a certain height. They can only shoot so straight. They can't do it not enough to hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
Now,
But no,
I do like in this show they make a point to say
yeah.
that the stormtroopers are not as good as the clone troopers were.
Well, I think it was yeah. No, I mean you're
But-
right, and what Daryl was saying, and you're right. This is kind of what we're going to cover because I think it really affects the future of Star Wars. Is the to me the biggest thing is the transition, and I think that a lot of people for the longest time, except if you read some of the legends, some of the comics, really didn't know how we went from clones to basically what I call human stormtroopers. What was that, Ricky? You had a
that
hands
would be
up.
me. That would
Yeah.
be me.
So what's interesting about it is that, and also Bad Batch also turned some legend canon out the window. So there's a little bit of that we're going to talk about tonight. But let's. I just like to, here's the Bad Batch. We all, here we go. And of course, this is interesting story. But let's go through the bunch here. This is a Hunter, which is the leader.
Yeah.
We all know that heightened sense is his main thing. Crosshair, of course, he is remarkable. He's a marksman, wrecker. He's ridiculous,
Strong guy.
tech guy. And this is interesting is Echo, and Echo is what they call a reg. I mean, he's not really genetically. They call it, I guess.
He's cybernetically enhanced. He's not genetically
Right.
modified.
Yeah, and it goes back to the Clone Wars where he was basically used by the Separatist. They were using him to basically. He knew all the maneuvers. He knew all the defenses. He knew how the clones, military plans, and so anyway, they used him as basically kind of a strategist without him knowing it. They had him all plugged up. And so anyway, he pretty much was a Borg if you want to go Star Trek on that. But
you're not wrong.
So I'm going to open it up. I loved in the beginning on the Bad Batch, and Daryl, in the beginning they gave it that original Clone Wars beginning where the guy says "and the boat and in the battle," they went to that original announcement, and then after that, it was
just that first episode.
That was first episode, and that's when you knew it crossed over. And when Order 66 happened, you saw where the guys from the Bad Batch, who, we all know that they had defective chips. And anyway, I'm gonna let you guys talk. I'm gonna let you, Daryl, talk a little bit about that scene in Order 66 and your impressions on that, and tell me how do you feel how they crossed over Order 66?
I actually thought it was pretty seamless the way that they kind of transitioned Order 66 from when they did in the Clone Wars. You know, when we finally got the final season and saw those episodes to, you know, the Bad Batch, and then we're sitting here and we see that, and it's it's almost the exact same scene. It's just a continuation of that scene, and I thought they did a very good job with it. And the way they did everything, and it's like it's almost the surprise on her face. Like it's almost not surprise, but it's almost like an expectant. Like she felt it coming before it happened. Of course, being the Force, you know, allowing her to do that, and so they really were able to capture that on her face. And I loved it. I actually watched that episode right before we came on. That's what I was finishing up doing, was watching that episode, because I just love that scene so much. That to just finally seeing Order 66 actually executed throughout Star Wars in these last few years has been pretty cool.
I know that you know, to me, the Bad Batch, especially Hunter, he was just as confused. And of course, we all know that Crosshair, out of all of them, I guess his chip was the most active. Where he I know, because we all know later on, you know, there was a scene where Crosshair, and I talking about Crosshair, I think this could be a possible redemption story when it comes to Crosshair. It might be you see a lot of stuff that happened, like for instance, Omega, who we all, you know, Omega is the young clone girl, and by the way, from my understanding, Omega is basically, and I don't know what one of the questions we had on our Facebook
somebody
page.
asked on the Facebook page. Let's see.
I was going to bring this up because
the
it's a very
exact
good question
was.
I'll let you answer that.
My only real question is, how can Omega be a direct clone when she's female? Maybe that's a dumb question, but the fact that she's female means she is not an exact clone of Jango Fett. And I have some thoughts there, but you guys go ahead.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Oh yeah. Honestly, like unless they're trying to go for kind of a gender fluid that they can just flip flop chromosomes at will, willy nilly, and the thing just to make her the one strange thing. Who else can she be a clone of?
Exactly.
You know, is there another? You know, or who's she mixed with? Kind of like the whole Ray Palpatine thing. You know,
exactly.
Who else is, you know, within her DNA? So maybe that'll be one that we get answered in season 2, because a clone's a clone, copy to copy, top to bottom.
Yeah.
So
but if we're playing with genetic modification already, you know, we have a Bad Batch that they don't look like the other clones. They don't sound like the other clones. They don't act like the other clones. You know, they are clones, but they're so genetically modified that you would not know they were clones. So what's to say we've got one other one and we just, you know, we flip-flopped some chromosomes, and because I mean, not to get too sciencey here, but it's the Y that makes you a male.
Yeah, exactly.
If you take the Y out, you're female. That's how that works. So rather than having to adjust it, all they have to do is remove the Y and duplicate the X, and you've got a girl version. So I mean, it could simply be a genetic modification that they decided to do. Now the other question is, why didn't they age her up? Well, why is she like Boba and young?
Well, I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah. Well, they basically, and from my understanding from the research, she's actually a genetic twin, Boba Fett, and an identical clone of Jango Fett. Now, of course, she's a female. Like I said, we talked about the chromosomes and everything. Yeah. But she's a template for all clone troopers throughout the galaxy. And if you think about it, it was earlier on, they talked about how she had the special abilities of each I mean, each member of the Bad Batch to a point. I mean, she was a marksman.
I read something
ahead.
about that, but I never caught that in the show. Do they actually discuss that in the show?
Yeah, they mentioned that she really quick that she has some of the genetic similarities of the Bad Batch, but just as far as her abilities go, her abilities and senses was really sharpened. And again, it could go back to, she could have been one of the first clones, because she worked really close to who was the medical. I think she was the.
Is it Nalase?
Nalase.
Yeah.
Yes. And
and in the last episode, I mean, the Bad Batch literally say she's older than them. She tells them, I watched you guys be modified. Yeah, I was there when you were modified, making her technically older than them, just not aged up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting to me, going back to the transition, you think about it, it starts off where they come back, to Camino. And what was interesting to me is the Bad Batch, they showed up, and it was the time where Palpatine shows his face and he announces that the Republic is now going to be a galactic empire.
Yeah.
And the Bad Batch quickly see that, something's going on with their brothers, with their fellow clones. And through this, we see Crosshair we start seeing where he's heading. And again, we talked about later, something happened where I think it was some thrusters, and something happened where his chip got melted. And then after that, it was a decision. And again, I think what happened, and I think the story is basically free will. Throughout this story, you talk about how the chip, basically control them. But I was reading somewhere where there was some speculations where it was almost like an outer body experience. Many of these clones fought for the Republic for so long. And even in the story, even later on, like in Roloff, clone Captain Hauser, who reminds me a lot of Captain Rex.
Yeah.
And, after a while, he saw that how the Empire differs from the Republic. And after a while, he couldn't go along serving the Empire. Now, he's a clone. He has a chip. Something's going on there. I don't think he has a defective chip. So why is he able to break free from that than, let's say, back in the Clone Wars for Captain Rex, before his chip was removed by Ahsoka? Daryl,
and there's another.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I really don't. Unless it's just kind of one of those things where maybe over time it's worn down, and it's not as the kind of like with what's going with Crosshair. The signal wasn't really strong, but it was strong enough to kind of where he was still like it. And something he kept saying, it was almost like he was willing himself to, a good soldier follows orders. Good soldier follows orders. Exactly. And it's like he kept saying it over and over. And it was almost kind of like he was telling himself that, like, okay, a good soldier follows orders, keeping his compass there, even though it was kind of an evil compass. It was his direction, because something was obviously going on in his head, causing him to go crazy, to do all this stuff. So maybe that's kind of what's going on with some of these older clones and stuff, is the chip isn't as enhanced, or the signal's not coming through as strong, and so they're able to almost break free from that and have that almost free will that you're talking about.
Well, and we even see it's just kind of a snippet, but right near the end of the last episode, where they've just destroyed the cloning area, a clone walks up and he gives the report, but he gives the report of it being destroyed in such a, it's almost like he's emotional that his home was just destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't just stand there and just give the report like, we did the job. It was like, well, everything was, it's all destroyed and it's all sinking now. It's like he was sad about it. So I think this is, you know, like you said, it's either, I don't know if it's time. Is it emotion? Is it just that some clones are more equal than others?
Yeah, I think after a while, I mean, I think it was Daryl made a good point, and I think I think this was a concern of Tarkin, that the inhibitors would eventually malfunction or they would age, because even back in the Clone Wars, Tarkin was not a fan of the clones, you know, and Tarkin, when he went, basically when he went to Kamino, he was sent by the Emperor, and the Emperor trusted in Tarkin's decision on what to do with the military. And Tarkin really, he wanted to do away with the clones. There was a couple of reasons. For one, they talked about how he said it would be less expensive if we went with just, you know, basically human soldiers. And he, you know, and they felt like they could make them more loyal and brainwash them through propaganda instead of, you know, having to depend on a chip. And you have to understand, he also understood how loyal these clones were for the Republic. And he was concerned. And after seeing the disobedience of the Bad Batch, when he was sent them on to go on a mission to go against separatists, and when they saw that was not the case, and actually it was a young what was the I wish I can remember his name. He was with the resistance camp. It was in the first episode, and
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera. And so in that one right there, you know, and it was a test by Tarkin. You know, of course, Crosshair, who was, you know, walking a different step, they couldn't do it. And so I think through that, Tarkin realized how dangerous the clones were. I was reading somewhere too, is that it could have, you know, some people say it was like a military mistake because if the clones could stay loyal to the Empire, the rebels wouldn't have a chance. Because unlike the stormtroopers, you know, they they look like the Keystone's cops compared to the compared to the clones.
Yeah.
And so I think Tarkin's biggest concern was, what if the clones would turn against them? And actually, what's interesting is that by destroying with the Kamino, it goes against some of the legends that they used to have. Actually, in Star Wars Legends, there was supposed to be a clone uprising on Kamino, but that never happened because of that. They were trying to take back their home and protect Kamino and drive away the Empire, and so that's actually that basically wipes that out. So a lot of people don't realize. Yeah.
So here's my big question. We've had the whole season, 16 episodes, and I thought this was going to be you mentioned it earlier, Mike. I thought this was going to be a redemption story for Crosshair.
Yeah.
But it doesn't appear that we got that.
No.
Other than talking about free will, which I think is exactly what the whole idea that they're trying to show in the show was. What do you think the purpose of this was, of the 16 episodes? Because here's one thing I said early on, I was hoping this was going to be a big story arc,
yeah,
and not be the monster of the week. And it really did turn into kind of a
It
monster
was
of the
kind of
week.
like that, yeah.
I mean, not every episode was standalone. Sometimes you needed to, but it was once Sid came into the picture, it pretty much became here's your task for this week. Go do this task. You know, learn something new while you're doing that task.
Yeah.
But this is your task. It's not like the not like the Marvel shows where it's been, if you watch one episode, you're confused because you don't have the story arc.
Yeah, the story arc on it.
A lot of episodes you could just drop into the middle of the Bad Batch and just pretty much pick it up.
Yeah,
because
the Clone Wars
it's a
like
single
that
story.
Too. Yeah, the Clone Wars like that too. I mean, they eventually have this story arc, but it's above all these little stories, and that's basically the Bad Batch on that. They have all these little missions where they have to make money for Sid to be able to buy fuel and repair this and one thing or the other.
But what do you think the actual big story was? Because it wasn't Crosshair's story.
No.
It wasn't really the Bad Batch's story exactly. What was the big story?
I think the big story is basically humanizing the clones. I mean, for me, it was the clone story of adjusting from one period to another. I mean, think about it. Captain Rex, you know, which I was so excited. You know, Captain Rex is one of my favorite characters, and you know, Captain Rex. And what's interesting to me with Captain Rex is that if you remember the Rebels, you know, when you find Captain Rex, he's with Wolf and McGregor, and they're off on, you know, on some old, I guess it was a AT-AT, whatever. I forget what kind of machine they were in, and they were kind of to themselves, and they wanted to be away, and they didn't want to deal with the war. But if you look here, Captain Rex was actually, and I have this feeling because he's leading this resistance. Because in the show, you know, he's trying to get Crosshair and the Bad Batch to help them. And you know that and the whole time, you know, before Captain Rex left, he had to make a rendezvous with someone. And who was that person? I don't know. And I think some of that might be answered in the second season. I think in the second season, you're going to see more of the clone resistance. You're going to see a slight buildup, not so much the rebellion, because it's not quite there yet.
Right, it's going to be early years.
Exactly.
Kind of like what we're seeing now with Hera and what's going on with the Twi'leks and, you know, their home world. You know, it's going to be laying that foundation, you know, continuing to lay that foundation, hopefully for other characters in, you know, Star Wars. So, hey, maybe we'll get a young Admiral Akbar.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Well, we do have we do have about 19 years between episode 3 and episode 4.
Okay,
so
what do you think?
You know, we've got a lot of time to fill.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about the small little? What was the guy with the big monster that, you know, Luke Skywalker? You know, when he fell through Jabba's trap. What did they call it? Rancor?
The Rancor.
And it was a baby Rancor. Come on, a baby Rancor.
Yeah. Oh,
To me,
that was
kind of
literally a Monster of the Week episode.
Yes, that was. Yep. It definitely was.
I loved it. I want one. That's all I
You want one?
I want a baby Rancor.
Forget about baby Yoda. It's all about baby Rancor.
That's the newest
thing.
Oh,
yeah. Right. Yeah. I've already got an English bulldog. They're not much different than a baby Rancor. So
I want to put focus back on Captain Hauser. He was a unique character. He had this captain. He has this kind of this feel of a Rex. And of course, you know, he convinced his fellow soldiers to lay down their arms.
Yeah. Like half of them like laid down their arms, and the other half were like they followed Crosshair. And I was like, okay. So yeah, he had some kind of pull, like especially was and it's kind of one of those things. Like I don't know if he was an older clone. Like it seemed like he had been at least with the Syndulla family for however long.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You
so
can tell that.
yeah, you can tell that he wasn't like just some run of the mill clone that they just threw in there. He was somebody who was probably there when Hera was born, who had been who literally raised her and stuff like that. And so I think that may have been, maybe love, maybe family connection, something that was able to keep him just to kind of just enough, through the looking glass to see, hey, this isn't right. Like maybe we should take a step back and ask a question before, we just start randomly shooting people.
Yeah. What do you think of, and of course too, he was kind of Vice Admiral Rampart, which we hadn't talked about. He was kind of I kind of see him as the Tarkin wannabe,
kind of the Tarkin stand-in.
Yeah, he reminded me of almost of that guy in Rebels, the one who turned and ended up helping the Rebels and the crew of the Ghost and stuff. He ended up being a secret agent.
Yeah,
he almost had that same kind of feel to, like the early, or like before you found out the guy was a turncoat.
Yeah,
like he had that same kind of zealous nature, that push, like I'm gonna be the next Moth. I'm gonna get there no matter what, and whoever I crush, that's gonna happen. And I think this guy had the same feel to, like, everything. Like he knew exactly what Tarkin wanted, and Tarkin just let the leash go and say, you do you, and knew he was going to get the results that he was looking for with this guy.
I thought this scene was interesting here, where actually when Captain Rex found out that the Bad Batch still had inhibitor chips, he was like, okay, I mean, he held him up at gunpoint. And Hunter tried to explain to him, no, we're not affected by it. But they were able to find a facility like the one, Rex basically had his chip taken out by Ahsoka, and they were able to take the inhibitor chips out, each of the clone members. Of course, too, at the time, Wrecker, he kind of broke out, and it was kind of a tussle there before they could get the chip out of him.
Yeah, because his chip activated, because it's basically, and it kind of reminded me of the whole CTE thing going on, concussions with football players and stuff, and so many hits to the head, finally something breaks loose and he just goes crazy. And so trying to see everybody try to control Wrecker was pretty. It was a pretty cool scene.
But and the thing that got me was touching afterwards. Crusher, Crusher was like totally. He was. I'll use the word crush. Wrecker. Wrecker, not Crusher. Wrecker was really crushed in spirit because he apologized to Omega, because he realized it was like, again, what I was talking about earlier. It was almost like he couldn't control himself. He saw himself doing what he was doing, but he couldn't control himself the whole time. And Omega, it was almost like she knew that you couldn't help yourself. And she did the same thing with Crosshair, but later on she says, I wish I was right, because Crosshair innately wanted to serve the Empire.
Right.
And
yeah. Well, and that's like, since we're on that subject, that's kind of where this show wraps up. Isn't it Hunter that says, I know, all this stuff you did, it wasn't you. And Crosshair just goes, it was me.
That's when he turned his head and said, I had mine removed a while ago, and you just saw that big burn mark where the whole side of his head was burned.
Yeah, it was burned
and
off.
I love his reply when Hunter asks when, and he goes, it doesn't matter. So they're not going to tell us whether he had it all along or hasn't had it for a long time. Is he just the soldier that just follows orders?
Yeah,
is he just that guy? Well, we know now he is just that guy. How long has he been that guy is the question.
Exactly.
And that's where I'm like, I really thought the whole point of this show was going to be a redemption story for Crosshair, and it wasn't.
No,
it was more of a journey for the Bad Batch to find out where they came from and what their place is in the world.
Exactly.
But I never really felt like they got a full, like, I mean, obviously Omega is the moral compass for the Bad Batch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Hunter doesn't always want to do what is right.
Yeah,
he wants to do what is best for the team.
Yeah.
Right.
But Omega is the moral compass of we have to do what's right for people, even if it costs us everything. And and she's slow walking Hunter that direction. But even at the end of the show, I don't know that we fully got that they got there. So that's I guess that's why I ask what the point of the show was, because it's like, okay, we didn't get a redemption arc for Crosshairs. We didn't fully get a here is your real place in the world, Hunter and the Bad Batch. We kind of do, but not. It doesn't feel like it's complete yet.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I felt like after it was over, I was like, well, I'm glad there's a season 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look, I mean, at the end, when you see Kamino being totally destroyed by the, starships, that symbolizes that's the end of the clones.
Yeah.
And whatever clones are left, that's it. And so I do think you're right that we all thought it was a redemption story, and looking back at it, it was really looking at, of course, what are the Bad Batch going to do after the fact? They don't have a republic to serve, and they're not going to serve the Empire, so they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And they have this little girl, and they all care about Omega, and she cares about them. And so, but also through this entire process, there's another sub story about the clones that are actually dealing with the ramification of serving the Empire, even though some of them may have that chip in their head. Some of them
they're not mindless robots they're portrayed early on.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And I think we're probably going to see more of that in season 2 also, is where you're going to see more, where you do have more clones, where the chip maybe isn't as strong, or kind of that push isn't as strong for them, and they are kind of questioning what they're doing, but they're still falling in line, still stepping in line, because that good soldiers follow orders kind of thing. And so I think it's good. You're going to see more of that in season 2 also. And but one thing though, I do kind of have questions about with all of this, especially with Kamino going down, because obviously the Emperor dies and was cloned and comes back. So if the cloning facility is completely destroyed, where's the cloning facility that the Emperor is using?
I was going to say, where is it? I don't know. However, they make it very clear that Nala Se has been taken into custody.
Exactly.
And he specifically says all of the scientific staff.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just Nala Se, although she's the embodiment of the staff, of the scientific staff for the show. I thought that was kind of interesting that Filoni said, you know what? As much as some people dislike episode 7, 8, and 9, I'm going to make sure that I connect this to those 3 episodes.
Exactly.
What I thought, okay, I see what you're doing there. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. Do you think we will see more about that in the second season, or do you think that is just an Easter egg to say, okay, here's why everything that happens in 7, 8, and 9 makes sense?
I think personally, it's probably more of an Easter egg. We're so early on. I don't think we're going to touch on the whole cloning future of, later on that happens with Palpatine and all that. I think that's kind of a type and shadow of what's going to come later. I think mainly we're going to see the Bad Batch and the clone struggle, dealing with how they're going to deal with, the whole former Republic, and now are they going to be in the Resistance, or are they going to serve the Empire? And I think that's what we're going to see. And of course, Crosshair is going to be in the mix. And I bet they even then will try to sprinkle a little. Will he be redeemed? Any redemption there? So they're going to mix that all together. Yeah, they're going to mix all of that together. So it's going to be one of those episodes we do again at the very end. Well, I thought it was going to be this. It was this instead. Yeah. Before we and close it up, the relationship at the end between Omega and Crosshair, I thought was interesting. And of course, she saved, she saved him, and then in reverse, he saved her. And Azu, which is the robot, and of course, his reply is, there is no emotion to it. I did it because she saved me. Do you think that's for real?
We're
or not?
even.
We're even.
I don't think so. I think it has more of a connection thing, and something I was going to bring up earlier about Omega is because she shares, like you said, some kind of genetic code and their abilities and stuff. It almost makes me think she's an empath to the way they're feeling, to the way that they're to their emotions, that she can read their emotions more than she can read their face or what they're saying, kind of thing. And so, and you see that with some of the animals and stuff too that they encounter, that she is able to, understand the animals and calm the animals and stuff. And so I think that's where you're seeing her reaction to him through it, because her reaction is kind of like, I kind of forgive you kind of deal. And he's like, oh, I didn't do it, to be nice. It's one for one. And it's kind of like, that she understands that that's not the issue. Like, you can try to play tough guy, but I think it's going to come out where she is an empath of some sort and can read and feel what's going on. Because like you said earlier with Wrecker, she did the same thing with him. Like, she knew exactly that he was sorry, and he was like, I'm a horrible friend, I'm a horrible family member, because team member, all that, and the next thing she's like, no, it's okay, and she was kind of able to calm him and kind of use that, I don't know, ability or whatever to kind of do that. And I think throughout you see it with Hunter too, because Hunter softens up to her and does things. So
exactly. Well, even at the end, when they offered for Crosshair to come with them, and he says, no, I'm going to stay behind. And Hunter said, they abandoned you. They didn't care about you. And, basically Crosshair says they did what they had to do. But as they leave, look at him. This was the very end. He looks like a man that's conflicted. You can't. There's something going there, and I think that's part of what they did to help him. They realized
So what is your speculation for season 2? Are we going to see? Are we going to pick up right where we left off? Are we going to have a big time jump and have a teenage Omega? Are we just going to pick up where we left off?
I think we're going to basically pick up where we left off. If in some reason, if there's any time where maybe like 6 months later or something like that.
So 6 months to a year. If there's a time jump, it'll be 6 months to a year. It won't be. I don't think it'll be like Omega, 9 to 14 or anything like that. I think that's too big of a jump. Too many questions.
The only reason I say that is because we've seen it. We see Anakin instantly grow up from a kid to in one movie. So, Star Wars doing a 10-year jump is not unheard of. But what do you think of this theory that Crosshair is so mad about everything that happened that he's actually staying around, not necessarily because he doesn't want to join back up with the group, but that he's now angry at the Empire and is going to try to take some revenge from the inside.
I think eventually, I think if you treat somebody bad enough for a while, I think that can happen. I don't think it happened yet.
You don't think we're there yet?
I don't think we're there yet. I think he's very stubborn, and he's going to believe what he wants to believe, because if he says that if he says the Empire did this to me, that means that every decision he made was wrong, and he can't, he doesn't want to face that. So he's going to go along as long as he can until something strikes a chord with him to his core. So, and I don't know if that's going to happen next season. I
don't know. Did we see him get picked up by the Empire afterwards?
No.
Or is it just okay?
No,
so
the Bad Batch flies off and he's standing there.
That's what I thought. And so I'm almost thinking bounty hunter. Does he turn bounty hunter and maybe start taking bounties and stuff, and that's where we're going to run into him again.
Well,
because
that's a good
if
idea.
he goes back to the Empire, he's most likely going to be killed for treason.
Well,
because remember, he stood with the clones against the robots, and they saw that. So,
well, I didn't. Yeah, that's a good thought.
Did they see that? They had already left. Everyone else had left.
Yeah, I guess everyone had left. Yeah, because that was on the
said.
No,
he said, "Leave them there."
There was that. There was that. There was one that saw it. It was one of his subordinates took off running out of there. It was one of the conscripted troopers took off running out of the facility, and
I remember that, but I didn't think they had fought yet.
Yeah, that's where they were fighting. Yeah.
Okay.
Because she had said he had lost control of the situation.
Well, I think a couple of things too. You're right. Easily can become a bounty hunter. That's a good point. And I think too, eventually, even if they didn't see him, eventually he's spare change. When they're done with him, they're done with him. So there has to be a point he realizes that. Just a couple of things real quick. Speaking of bounty hunters, we had we had some crossovers coming over. Remember, he was a clone. Either he left in the Clone Wars and started a family. And of course, we were revisit again where, he's a friend of Rex. And so the Bad Batch goes there to spend some time there.
Extract him.
Also, too, guess who we see here from the
Fennec
Mandalorian? Yes.
And Book of Boba Fett coming up.
Exactly. And then, of course, Bane, he's back. He's back, and he was in the Clone Wars as well. This is one most people don't know, and I can't remember their names, but Ahsoka spent time with them down in one of the lower levels of Coruscant during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, during the Clone Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there definitely had.
I heard another show talk. I was going to say, I heard another show talk about this, and they were like, yeah, it was kind of the cameo of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
Who's going to see? Yeah.
We see
Monster of the Week as cameo of the week.
Yeah. We see Cutter from Rebels, and, Rex comes back, and
McGregor's
right here. Yeah, exactly.
And of course, my favorite Chopper, the most homicidal droid in all of Star Wars. He's the greatest droid ever.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I was getting ready to say I'm going to get attacked by all the Star Wars fan, which I am. But I finally, after I saw the Rebels, I told my wife, Chopper, droid, yes.
Yeah.
One thing, and another thing that I was like, oh, wow. I don't know if you've ever played or a fan of Star Wars Republic Commander. Awesome game. But we saw them. There were some, it's not really, I don't think it's the Delta Squad, but I was trying to figure that out.
You're seeing that technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But which is weird because they're going to be phased out. And I don't know. And I can't remember now in the Clone Wars story, in the video game, they were part of an elite group. that basically went behind enemy lines. And so we don't hear a whole lot about him except actually within the game. And I know there are several novels about him too. But anyway, I wanted to mention that because I thought that was interesting. Because I saw who are these guys? These clone commandos. So anyway, but I don't have much left. I just know that I'm excited for season 2. I don't know if we're going to have the same type of, story of the week in the high arc. I think Filoni
we will.
I think we will. Filoni wants this to be another kind of a Clone Wars series. There's nothing bad about that. I think as far as he's concerned, if he can get 8 episodes out of it, I think that'd be great. Kind of like they did with the Clone Wars. I'm
8
happy
seasons,
with that.
you mean?
8 seasons, episodes. Yeah. 8 seasons, and I would be totally happy with that. And
I think we'll get 4.
Yeah,
I could see
like,
that.
I would love to see 8, like Clone Wars, or but I think we're looking more 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah,
more along the lines of Rebels.
I was gonna say we'll have to see how it works. Rebels and remind me if I'm wrong, but Rebels and Clone Wars both happened before Disney purchased them. Correct?
I know Clone Wars did.
Okay, I think Rebels did as well, or at least most of Rebels.
Or was Rebels their very first?
The only reason I say this, my daughter has brought this to my attention multiple times, that Disney has, and this is more on the kids show, the live action kids shows.
Yeah.
They are notorious for betting on 3 seasons only and writing contracts for 3 seasons only, and then adjusting or changing the name of the show and starting over so that they don't have to pay extended increases in pay because it's a new show and not continuing seasons. So with that thought in mind, if my daughter is correct, getting more than 3 seasons will be a surprise. But since it's Star Wars and not a traditional Disney show, we might see something different. But that's just kind of an interesting little quirk that Disney has been doing for several years.
Well, keep in mind, after, the Clone Wars, they stopped after 6 seasons, and it was maybe a year later, they actually came out with a 7th season, and I think that may have crossed over.
I think
to
that was
Disney.
the Disney. I think that was the Disney season. It was just the one.
Yeah, and because Filoni wanted to finish it up, and I'm glad he did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
And then the Rebels I think they only had 4 seasons.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about what Rebels had. So
I think that's
why I'd be surprised. Yeah.
I think you're right. And plus, too, how far can you stretch that story, too?
Right.
So, And so, anyway, so definitely I look forward to that. And, of course, all kinds of new stuff. Book of Boba Fett, who's supposed to be coming out end of this year, right? If I'm not mistaken. That was the last
supposed
time
to
I
be
heard.
Book of Boba Fett supposed to come out in December. We have not seen a date yet.
Yeah. Okay.
It is supposed to be a Friday show, so keep that, it looks like, for the future. Disney is going to stick with Star Wars on Fridays and Marvel on Wednesdays.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
That's good. Hey, this has been fun. I think, we did a good job staying within the 45 minutes. And
only 30 minutes over.
Yeah, exactly. So, So, Daryl, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I enjoy talking nerd. I like to get down and nerdy all the time. So
that's what we do here.
Yeah, exactly.
Get down and nerdy. That's what we do.
Yep.
We get all nerdy up in that. That's what we do here.
If we ever change the name of the show again, it's going to be Down and Nerdy.
Down and Nerdy. Yeah.
I mean, look that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go see it. Go see if that page, if that URL is available. Go ahead and buy it now.
Yeah. How many?
And
we
got to get Weird Al
times.
on board and get rights to his song White Nerdy.
I have to have rights to the song. He rips off people all the time. We could do the same to him. I mean, it's a parody. Come on.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. So,
well, Mr. Ricky, I think we kind of exhausted our time.
I think so. You ready to wrap it up?
I'm ready to wrap it up, sir.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Shilley.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. That's pretty good. I think we did pretty good tonight. I think
that was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean okay?
Some people watched. It was nice.
Oh yeah, I mean they did. I mean they, why wouldn't they?